Pally. Welcome to episode number 109 of the Rock and Roll Research Podcast, where we share the super cool backstories and side gigs of the research and insights pros that you trust. Well, hey, today is a special episode of the Rock and Roll Research Podcast. Why? Because on Tuesday, next Tuesday, March 19th, is the 2024 University of Texas at Arlington's MSMR Insights Collaborative, which is a really amazing event. I would say in 2023, last year, when I attended, it was probably my favorite event of the year. So learned a lot, interacted with tons of students and professionals, and it's just an amazing event with lots of great vibes. So fittingly, why not have Jeffrey Porter on the podcast with me today? Now, hey, Jeffrey. So Jeffrey is actually a student in the MSMR program. MSMR is Master of Science in Marketing Research, the University of Texas at Arlington, one of the, I guess, big five such programs in the country. And now Jeffrey is an interesting guy. So he graduates in December of this year. He has an internship currently at Lockheed Martin, believe it or not. If you're going to go big, just go big. So that's really impressive. So really cool stuff. But what I learned as we were chatting last year is he's an amateur baseball player, which is really cool. He's also a small-time entrepreneur, buying and selling vintage video games. But of course, he's a guitar shredder as well. So awesome. We're going to talk about all that and more in today's podcast. Welcome to the show, Jeffrey.
Awesome. Thank you, Matt. Thank you for having me. Super excited to be on the show.
Yeah, I'm super excited to have you. You know what? I really enjoyed chatting with you so much last year. So I'm glad we're connected. I just had just an awesome chat, just peeling the onion. It's like, what is next with Jeffrey? He's got all these interesting things to say and all these interesting things he's involved in. So it's just a perfect fit for the podcast. So welcome. I'm happy to have you. So now let's talk about this, Jeffrey. So you're a student in the MSMR program.
Right.
So this differs a lot from a lot of the guests that I have on the podcast. You know, the classic, oh, I fell into market research. I had no idea. I didn't study it in school. But you have made a choice to pursue it from an academic standpoint. So tell us about where that choice came from.
Well, to be honest with you, it started off with uh, my last semester of my bachelor's degree. So I was getting
Mhm.
a marketing degree first. And what happened is I was just kind of distraught because I didn't have any experience. Like I didn't take any internships, which I, regret doing. And, no like office experience. And I was
Right.
just very worried about my future, where I was gonna, end up.
Sure.
And my marketing professor is like, hey, do you want to try this? We have this MSMR program here at UTA. I think you're really smart. You're really wanting to learn a lot. Why don't you just do that? And I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, I'll give it a try. And and he gave me Scott's number. I know Scott's been a previous guest on the show.
Yeah, Scott
Um,
Hansen.
mhm. That's right. My director.
Yep.
And I had a conversation with him, and I was just still worried, and I was just like, man, it's just, should I even go with this? Like, I had to pay more money, pay more tuition,
Yeah.
but it was something in my gut. Something in my gut told me just say, take the leap. Who knows, what's gonna happen?
Yeah.
And I did, and honestly, that was probably one of the best decisions I've ever made.
Ah,
Um,
that's great to hear.
I met so many amazing researchers. My classmates are awesome. My professors are as equally awesome as everyone else.
Yeah.
And it was just really interesting to learn all these things and how well we can predict, I guess, a person's buyings, or like a psychology based on like statistics. And I love math,
Right.
and um and it was just so fitting.
Yeah.
That's why I came up so much to love it. I'm like, wow, this is so cool. We get to make a lot of regression models, and then structural equational modeling as well, to see like, oh, these how the people will react to this. And
Sure.
it just grew more of appreciating and loving market research, and just digging into data
Yeah.
is what really drives me a lot.
Yeah, yeah, I love that. And talking to you and some of the other students, I'm just really impressed with both the practical experience that people come out with, as well as that more academic foundation. So, really well constructed program, producing good students, all that good stuff. But you are going the extra mile. You've got this really cool internship. So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah. What was it? I was doing two internships over the summer. One for Chris Hawk. I'm not sure if you know who
Yeah,
that
yeah,
is.
Chris Hockey, speaking of.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. He was a speaker at last year's event, and what was I did like a little bit of stuff for him, and then I did a project management internship, and I was just still looking, still worried of like what was going to happen, but
Hmm.
I remembered that UTA offers this program called CWEP, which is a
Okay.
college work experience program where you get to work at Lockheed Martin for missile and fire control. That's the
Yeah.
location in Grand Prairie, not the one, not aeronautics.
Right.
Uh, but I was like, you know what? Screw it. I just
Go for it.
hit apply and see what happens. And
Yeah.
on a random like July day, I got an email saying, "Hey, do you want an interview for a financial data analyst position?" I was like, "Okay, let's
Yeah.
see where this goes." And I think I did really well in the interview. Well, I guess I did do well in the interview. I got the internship, so it's cool. It's a really good experience for me, for anybody that's willing to work in an office experience. Um, definitely works when you have like no experience at all. I've heard stories of how they hire people with just volunteer at an animal shelter
Yeah.
stuff. So that again, really cool there, very nice. It's a very relaxing place sometimes. Some of
Sometimes.
the times. Yeah. When what was it? When it depends on how many projects you're running. So like
Yeah.
me, I'm responsible for like I want to say I want to say like 12,
Wow.
and yeah, and these are like multi-million dollar projects with like missiles and stuff. And honestly, I can't
Yeah.
say anything more than that. But it just digs so much into data and trying to find a story in it to tell to a manager, saying like, "Hey,
Sure.
you're over budgeting this. You're gonna have to like ramp it down a little bit."
Yeah.
Um, a lot of them do that, but that's why they have us there. It's to back them up, help them do their job, and they actually do their job pretty well.
Yeah.
um it's again a great awesome experience. Weird way to start for a market research person,
Yeah.
but it is what it is.
Yeah.
That's where life takes us.
Yeah. To me, it doesn't seem so unusual, right? Because there's plenty of
Hmm.
data analytics as part of the work that you're doing. So
Hmm.
it's all under the same big broad tent, I think. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Okay, so let's two things I want to talk about. Well, first of all, really awesome to see that you're still playing ball. So I actually played baseball in an amateur league post college as well, which
Hmm.
is fun. So we got that in common. But I'm interested in your little entrepreneurship deal with video games, and then of course we got to talk shredding. So let's start video games. Let's hear about
Okay,
some.
awesome. Yeah. um I want to say it's my sophomore year of college, and it was like right before the pandemic hit in like early 2020. I was like, man, what game? Like, I'm really wanting to get into a game series to see like, okay, what is for there. Um, so I picked up this one called Fire Emblem, which is like an RPG.
Fire Emblem. Okay.
Yeah, I'm not sure how deep the fans are is on this one, but it's a RPG owned by Nintendo, and it's awesome. I picked up Fire Emblem Awakening. I loved it. It was for the 3DS, and after that, I picked up a Game Boy Advance, one called things called Blazing Blade,
Okay.
and yeah, and after that, it just started to accumulate. Like, just it kept going and going, and I started to trade.
Yeah.
Um, I started to trade some of my Switch games for my local retro game store, and
Yeah.
that's because it opened during the pandemic. Because the interesting thing is that a lot of these retro game places started blowing up during the pandemic because everyone
Right.
was at home, and
Yeah.
like then they're like, maybe I should play like this game from the Super Nintendo, or something from like like a PlayStation 2 game or something like that. Bring back
Sure.
something while everything's blowing by. So they blew up. They blew up, and
Yeah.
because they blew up, the prices shot up too.
Yeah.
So I was
Timing is
able to,
everything.
yeah, exactly. So luckily for me, I got into it really early and started getting my games like pretty cheap. Like some of them I got for probably, I want to say like $60, like $60 less than like the market value
Oh,
back in
nice.
those days. Yeah, it was crazy. Some of the games I've owned previously, like I'm not sure how much you know about like Pokemon or something like that.
My son
Um,
does.
yeah, so
I'm more
like
like tabletop Dungeons and Dragons kind of guy. I'm
oh,
old
I got
school,
you, I
man.
got you.
Old
Yeah,
school.
have you ever played Warhammer?
I haven't played Warhammer, but the boxes of those games look so cool. And I have some friends that are really into Warhammer. And
Yeah.
so it's been tempting me for a while.
Yeah, one of my friends is super into Warhammer. He has well, oh gosh, I'm trying to remember what they're called. I don't play with Warhammer, so I wouldn't know. But what comes to this is like they have figurines and stuff that you can use for play,
Yep.
and you can also paint on them and make cool designs. And that's what I find really interesting about it as well. Is just it's kind of like build your own. Some of them are build your own, if not all of them. Uh, but besides that point, um, well, with the Pokemon games, especially for the DS ones, a
Yep.
lot of the DS ones were, I want to say, above like $80, and that was like for I think Diamond and Pearl.
Uh-huh.
But if you're shooting for like, let's say Pokemon White 2, that's like 150.
Yeah.
Uh yeah, it was like crazy. That was like the highest I've seen, like just for a tiny cartridge of it.
Yeah, that's
It was really
crazy.
cool. Yeah.
So it's buy low, sell high, right?
Yeah, it kind of depends on like where you are. But
Yeah.
yeah, it kind of depends on timing, right?
Yep.
Because what if a company starts to like remake that game, right?
Right.
Um
Yeah.
one game I noticed, and that's a Nintendo game, is called Mario and the Thousand Year Door. That
Okay.
was on GameCube,
Okay. Yep.
and what happened is that it it was so high for like a box, like for the manual, the box cover and the disc. That was all probably like, I want to say $200.
Yeah.
Yeah, just for that one thing.
Wow.
But um, but what happened is Nintendo decided to remake it for the Switch, and what's funny is I look today on price charting, and that's where I usually get my data from, is from like price charting,
Yeah.
and it just, you just see it just like the
Yeah.
prices start to decline a lot, and
Right.
I'm like, wow, yeah, that's a killer.
So you're still doing that, right?
Just like here and there, it depends on like when I have time for it. It mostly depends on if I even like playing the game, or if I already beat it already. Because I'm the type of
Yeah.
person that's just like, um if the game's not fun, I'm not gonna play it. And if I'm not gonna play it, like why waste it? Give it to somebody else that would have fun with it, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Um,
Cool. Well, if you find a cheap Wii U video controller, let me know. I've been in the market for one of those. So you
oh
could
yeah, I'll let you know.
all right.
I don't. What was it? I don't have a Wii U, but I do have a Wii. What's funny? It's like it's right next to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the thing is, like, if that video controller goes out, then you're screwed. So that's kind of where we're at.
True. True.
All right. Okay. So let's talk shredding because I've actually seen you play a little bit and you know your way around a fretboard. So where does
Yep.
interest come in?
All right. Um, what's funny is almost same time, almost same time as like the interest came in. I don't know. I was just trying to get into a lot of things at the time because I was like, yeah, I'm in college. I want to spread my wings a little bit. Let's do it. Um, my best friend actually, he started playing, and what he did, he bought like an $80 like it looked like a Strat ad, but it bought like an $80 ripoff Stratocaster on Amazon, and
Sure.
it was so bad. It sounded bad. The the strings were just it was so weird. It was like the strings had such a wide gap from the fretboard that
Right.
you had to like pitch it as hard as you can to get like
Yeah.
one note out. It was bad. Um, but he was like, "Yeah, you know what? You want to start learning with me?" And I'm like, "Okay, why not?" And my dad walked in. By the way, me and my best friend lived together, well, with my family. But my
Okay.
dad walked in. He's like, "Hey, you want to use my guitar?" And conveniently enough, he played, and then my grandpa played back in the day.
Oh, cool.
So yeah, it was really cool. So I actually have both their guitars in the cases right now. But my dad played a Fender Strat 87, and
Yeah.
my grandpa played a tiny Duo Sonic. I think I'm trying to remember what year it is. I think it was probably in the 60s or something. But it
Yeah.
was a Duo Sonic, and the Duo Sonic's white. I like it because of how old it is. It has that cool tan color to it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's great. I actually love that guitar, even though it doesn't like it don't work on an amp. I love that Duo Sonic, but I love
Yeah.
the Stratocaster too.
Yeah. Cool. So what kind of stuff do you like to play?
Mostly funk. Yeah.
Ah,
Yeah. What's funny is like, I started off playing like easy power chords. Like for example, I uh I started playing Fire songs,
sure.
and then I was like, okay, that's really cool. But the problem was, right, is that I think this is a troubling thing for all beginners, is that when you try to play that F chord, um your finger is like it's just so hard to do with your index finger, right? Trying to
Yeah.
bar it.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't know how to get better at it until I saw one video of a guy doing the monkey grip, which is
Yeah.
like you already know what I'm talking about. But for those you don't know what I'm talking about, is that you hold the big string with your thumb and then everything else like with the bottom part of your hand. And I'm like, okay, let me give that a try. And I'm like, wow, that feels so good, actually. And then
Yeah.
I started learning songs with that too. The first song I learned actually ever was "Under the Bridge" by Red Hot Chili
Oh, yeah.
Peppers,
Yeah.
because
Classic.
oh no, it is that became one of my favorite songs, even the play. And when I was watching John Frusciante do it, I noticed saying like, wow, he can play all these chords, and between those chords, he can manipulate his hands on playing, notes in between,
Uh,
just like in the melodies of Under the Bridge. So I was like, yeah, I love this. This is so cool. And then that got me into the world of funk. Some
yeah.
no, what was it? Japanese funk is honestly really fun to play.
Yeah.
I did learn a little bit of Jimi Hendrix songs.
Sure.
Yep, When Cries Mary. That's
Yeah. Oh, that's a great tune.
yeah, that's a great one. Along the Watchtower,
Yeah.
and then it's been a while since I played those. So I'm like trying to remember the name, but that's honestly how I just got addicted into the world of guitar playing.
Yeah.
Was just from that. It was mostly the stuff of like I'm learning and I'm getting better and it shows, and
Yeah.
and I don't want to stop. I want to
Yeah.
learn more and more.
And eventually you'll end up plowing all of your video game profits into guitar equipment. That's how it goes.
I know. I got some. What was it? I got the wah pedal. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah.
I'm trying to remember this the amp I have. I'm literally touching it right now. I'm just trying to remember. It's a Marshalls that my family got me. I'm just trying to remember
Oh,
what
nice.
model.
It's all about
But
the gear, man. It's all about
hmm
the
it
gear.
is. It's awesome. I love it.
So are these, it's kind of interesting. So you've got these outside interests, but you're learning and growing on those as you are completing your education. Are there any, similarities between the disciplines that you've noticed, or are these just like completely separate, compartmentalized, uh, uh, areas for you?
Yeah, I would say that there are similarities in between. What I've kind of noticed is you have to be kind of like consistent on it. And that's how I like my
Yeah,
life to be is like very consistent. You know, I'm
right.
very I'm the type of person and get up, have a list to do this, schedule time, everything.
Yep,
Um, I would say discipline is also a similarity between the two because you
yep,
have to if you're not patient, if you're not letting your time to grow, you're not gonna learn how to do this. Like you're not gonna learn how to play a chord right. You're not gonna learn how to structure your regression models correctly. It's
yep.
just it's all about discipline. My last thought on that is um growth and actually showing what to do. And what I mean by that is that um, as you do like let's say a structural equational model, you have to actually know how to prepare that stuff with like a confirmatory factor analysis and then run a
Yeah.
regression model. You have to know what you're looking for, right? And you have to do that based on learning.
Hmm.
And that's like the fun part of it, right? Is that you have to your growth shows. Your growth
Yep.
shows in the way that you dish out your models, and your growth shows the way how dish out your music as well.
Yeah.
Um, that's one way I should say that these things are similar. Just always be consistent, always
Yep.
be willing to learn more, new techniques, new songs, new methods of research, and then always be disciplined on learning.
Yeah, that makes sense. I can certainly see that when it comes to like timing the market for when to buy and
Mhm.
sell games. And honestly, when I saw you play guitar, you have this naturalness about how you play. I assume that you were playing for much longer. So obviously you're applying that discipline to your playing. It's very obvious. So cool stuff.
Thank
All
you,
right.
thank you.
So, you've been involved in this program for a year and change, right? Something like that.
Yeah, about over a year.
Yeah, a little over
About
a year.
over a year.
And so it's relatively new to you, but I know you're experiencing so much of what market research and this industry has to offer. I'm sort of curious, from what you've seen so far and what you've been learning, what looks like kind of like the future for research. What's out there? What's on your mind?
Uh, well, the future, with the thing that we have right now with AI and everything like that, AI setting up our data and
Yep.
being more. I think in the future we're going to have ways of actually predicting a consumer mind just like that. No need for like regression models, no need for no need to any math or scientific search. We can just do it based on that. And the reason I say that is because of the chips. You know that Elon Musk and like
Yeah.
implanting chips in their brain. I
Yep.
think I can see people, a lot of I guess rich people doing that, or just people that are affluent in money, because that's data in your mind,
Right.
right? And I can definitely see people willingly or or secretly taking that data and just using that for their own purposes. So
Sure.
I definitely see it growing in the future. Um, when it comes to research and especially marketing in general because of how fast and efficient we can get someone's insight on something just
Yeah.
instantaneously instead of just focus group survey blah 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 blah. Yeah, just amazing.
I have a question about that because that could that could happen in a nefarious way, right? Sort of like
Hmm.
Big Brother and sort of think about it in conspiratorial terms. Do you see it happening like that? Or will there at some point be incentives for people to embed themselves with chips or whatever, share that kind of level of data?
Yeah, it's going to be kind of weird because the way I think of it is like I can definitely see people doing it in a nefarious way,
Yeah,
just like, oh yeah, like I get to look at this person's password too and memorize their password or something onto their computer.
yeah,
But I can definitely see people willingly do it for a good compensation because yeah, like you can say things like their eye trackers, what they're
yeah,
looking at, what they're even thinking, right?
yeah,
I can definitely see people doing that willingly in the future for the right price because
yeah,
you're pretty much spying. It's pretty much like you're spying on them instead of this like maybe a few hours to pretty
yeah.
much 24/7. It's
Yeah,
crazy.
I mean, it's interesting because people have traded so much privacy, not for money, but just for free, just to get
Yeah.
things free. It's like, okay, I want to be able to do Google searches. I want to
Hmm.
be able to connect with my friends on Facebook and Instagram, right? And you're giving away all these data, all this privacy,
Hmm.
in exchange for free services, right? So it's not even
Right.
necessarily, you don't have to back up the money truck to get people to act, right? It's just, and it just kind of, it's a little, keeps chipping away just a little bit all the time. So,
Hmm.
yeah, yeah, interesting. I could see a world like that. I could see it.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, like again, I was thinking of like, man, I wonder what like people can do with I don't know a chip on their brain, and there's that it pretty much in your brain now that people can have. Um, yeah, that's the way I kind of think of it as the
Yeah,
future progresses, I should say.
yeah. Well, we shall see. We shall see how that prediction fares in the
Yeah,
coming
let's see it.
years. All right, cool. All right, so this is a podcast, right? A podcast is media.
Hmm.
Curious to know when you're consuming media, of which I'm sure you consume plenty, like all of us,
Oh yeah.
for insight, inspiration, or enjoyment. Big broad question. What
Mhm.
is the media that you're turning to these days?
Yeah, I would say the media for I would say entertainment wise is Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube.
Yeah,
I just mostly go to those places for what was it? For funny memes. There's some
yeah,
places like Twitter where I go for like gaming and pop culture news.
yeah.
So for example, uh the author for Dragon Ball Z, Akira Toriyama,
Yeah,
he passed away recently.
I just saw that. Yeah,
Yeah. So, news spreads on Twitter like that.
right.
It's so quick, and when I saw that probably um I want to say Saturday. It was sometime last week, but it was just very heartbreaking to watch. But it was so quick on how fast the information went.
Yeah.
Um, Another thing I saw for gaming news was the Star Wars game called Star Wars Battlefront.
Uh-huh.
And yeah, this was a remake of 1 and 2 pretty much combined. And this game used to be like the old Xbox. I loved it when I was a kid,
Yeah.
but seeing it now, um, the the developers made a very bad decision on
Yeah.
that because it's getting swamped with like hundreds of thousands of negative reviews on Steam and probably like on the other marketplace as well because
Sure.
what happened is that they had only 3 servers containing 64 players each. That's
Oh,
not enough for like thousands of people.
yeah. Oops.
It, yeah, it's definitely a oops on on the gaming market nowadays. Gaming can be very, I would say, sensitive in the sense of how how fast reviews get dished out, and how much gaming critiques are out there nowadays. It can be either really good for your business or really bad depending on what game you produced, and it shows.
Sure.
Um, I know another thing right now is that I want to say RPGs are like a huge hit, especially like single players. Um, the reason why because of that is because a lot of these, I wouldn't say AAA, but like AA studios are doing their best to be very unique and creative, and the market's responding to that.
Mhm.
Um, there's one game right now called Helldivers 2 that has like 1 million players each day. It's crazy
Yeah.
compared to a multi-million dollar game that has like nobody on it.
Yeah.
It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy how the marketing can switch up like that.
It is crazy, and it happens so fast. It's
Hmm.
like, all of a sudden, like, word gets around immediately that, "Oh, hey, this game is cool." And then it
Yeah.
goes from nothing to millions of players, like, in a day or 2, it's crazy.
Yeah, and that's why I like Twitter a lot, because it's like they're either like it's funny clips of the game, or it's like people, talking bad about it and making a meme of it.
Yeah,
Um, for Instagram, I mostly use that for memes, or to find like cool places around Dallas area, something to take my girlfriend to.
sure.
There's a lot of pages dedicated to that, and I love it.
Yeah.
And one of my favorite social medias is YouTube,
Yep.
because it provides me good insight on what's happening on into the world. There's also fun podcast to listen to,
Mhm.
and yeah, that's pretty much it. That's pretty much it for that one. I would also take inspiration based on new songs that YouTube even recommends me while I'm like
Yeah,
chilling out studying, or I'm cramming down data. Uh, that's where I pretty much get like a lot of inspiration from, are like songs that I'll
sure.
just randomly find from an algorithm. It's cool.
Well, speaking of songs, right? If you've ever seen an episode of the Rock and Roll Research Podcast, this is a question that really matters to me, right?
Hmm.
This is where rock and roll comes in. So let's say, Jeffrey, you're stranded on a desert island, right? And you have 3 records. Usually we think like full length records, but it can be songs, whatever. You've got 3 pieces of music to keep you company for the rest of your days. What are they?
See, as see this was the question I thought I was ready for, but I know, but
No one's ever
you
ready
know,
for this one.
I'm not right now. But I would say three records would be "Purple Haze" by Jimi
Oh
Hendrix.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Classic.
I can listen to that record all day. Um, this what a soundtrack count?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
That's fair.
So this soundtrack is from a game. It's called Persona 4. I love the
Ah,
soundtrack for that game. I've been listening to it for about like 2 years now,
yeah,
and it's one of those things where it doesn't get old.
yeah.
Um,
I'll check that one out. Persona 4, you said.
yeah, yeah, that's the game, and the soundtrack and everything comes before.
Okay.
Um, I think you like it if you're like a jazzy person too.
Okay.
There's a lot of jazz stuff in it. That's what I like. And then the other one, man, man, it has to be the one with "Under the Bridge."
Yeah.
Yeah,
Red Hot Chili Peppers.
I love that Red Hot Chili Peppers album. It has really got me through a lot. A lot of great stuff on it. I Should Have Lied. Um, what else was it again? Under the Bridge. There's just like a lot of good classics on
Like the
there
one with
that has.
Californication on it.
Um, Californication's the 1999 album.
Okay.
This one
Okay. Okay.
was,
Okay. Yeah.
yeah, this that great album too. Uh,
Yeah.
Got great, again, had what, Other Side. Um, what else was there? Man, I'm always drawing blanks on names. There's so many good songs out there, and I'm terrible with names. It's such a bad mix up.
It's all good.
But yeah,
Red Hot
I
Chili Peppers, the one with Under the Bridge on it.
yeah, the one on the bridge. I'm drawing a blank right now,
That's good.
but
It
uh,
works. Anyone,
it works.
anyone listening, well, they're probably listening like, oh my God, it's this, Garrett. Come on, you guys.
They'll tell me in the comments. Don't worry, they'll tell me in the comments, and I'll remember.
All right, super cool. Hey, Jeffrey, this has been an awesome chat, and hey, we get to see each other on Tuesday.
That's
Why?
right.
Yeah, because of the UT Arlington MSMR conference in Arlington, Texas. So if you're in Dallas, come out and I'll say hello to both of us. And yeah, so we will talk soon, won't we, Jeffrey? So rock and roll.
Yeah, rock and roll.